Okay, so we're never separated. I think Prabhupada felt it's simultaneous. That's a good point. Because Prabhupada wrote a song, and in every line of the song he expressed his feeling of separation from his spiritual master. That his life was so difficult in separation. And at the same time, Prabhupada said, I've never felt alone. What is it? That's the AC? The problem with it is it comes out on the recordings. And if you're not very tolerant when you listen to the recording, you get upset. Because in the back of everything is a whistle. Anyway, for the benefit of those who are going to listen to the recording, all the devotees have agreed to suffer from the heat. So you don't have to hear this whistling. So Prabhupada said he was alone in New York, he never felt alone. So both things are going on. He's feeling that his spiritual master is with him. In his words, in his instructions, he's also feeling separation from the personal presence. Interesting, isn't it? I will tell you a story. I don't know if I told you this story last time. When Srila Prabhupada came to San Francisco in 1970, I was there. And not many devotees went to the airport. We greeted Prabhupada in the temple. And the temple was a storefront, and it was filled, completely packed. But it was all brahmacharis, because in 1970, 90% of the movement or more was brahmachari. So Prabhupada walked in, and he came to the front door, and he didn't walk in. He just stood there and he was looking. Did I tell this story before? And he was just looking at all the devotees and smiling, very effulgent, for about a minute. It was just an ocean of saffron dhotis and shaved heads, wall to wall. Then he walked in and he sat on his vyasasana, and then he chanted the Guru Vashtaka, prayers to his spiritual master, which to my knowledge he had never done before, never done subsequently on arriving at a temple. And later, the devotees told us that when Prabhupada was stopping at the door looking, that he was so inspired by seeing all these new devotees. Shaved heads, saffron, temple room full of devotees, that he called his spiritual master to come and see, which would be confirmed by the fact that he chanted prayers to his spiritual master. So he had that kind of relationship with his spiritual master, that he felt his presence so deeply through the service. But he also felt separation. The separation is felt in terms of the disciple feeling dependent on the Guru. And almost feeling like, I can't go on without my Guru. But I go on by his instructions. They're my life. So I feel him with me. So it's both things are going on simultaneously. Feeling of closeness and separation. Tamal Krishna Maharaj, you may know, wrote a Vyas Puja offering all about the value of Prabhupada's personal association. Do you know that offering? Any one of you remember? Because Prabhupada and the Shastra always says that the instruction or the words of the Guru are what is important, more important than the personal association. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj wrote an offering recognizing that point, and he said, but still, the personal association of Prabhupada had all these benefits. Didn't he? Did he list the benefits or how he was affected by Prabhupada's association? So he was showing that he was uniquely affected by Prabhupada where his words affected him differently. So naturally he'll feel separation when Prabhupada leaves, because what he got from Prabhupada's personal association was special. So there's both things going on. Feeling Prabhupada in his instruction. Whoa, you escaped the army. Are they after you? Are they coming after you now to get you?
No, don't worry.
They'll take me instead,
You
right?
don't know where I am.
If I become an Israeli citizen, then I have to go in the army, right? I'm too old. Good. I don't think I need to be a citizen, do I? My children, oh. They're going to go get them. Oh, well, I'll leave them in America. They're going to get them in America? Oh, okay. So he was pointing out the uniqueness of personal association. So that exists simultaneously. And but the other thing, which you said is perfect. I never met him. How many people say, I wish I could have met Prabhupada? All the time. They tell me, oh, you're so fortunate you met Prabhupada. I wish I could have met Prabhupada. That's a natural feeling. I was just in South Africa in January, and I went to this devotee's home. She said, Prabhupada came to South Africa when I was like 20, and I didn't go see him. I thought, just another guru. So imagine how she feels. She could have seen Prabhupada and she didn't. So, we can feel some separation from these great acharyas in the fact that we never got their association. But separation is good, because what happens in separation?
Hearts become full.
Separation makes the heart grow fonder, yeah. And then you want to experience, I never got their presence, but you want to experience that, you want to see, can I associate, can I experience their presence, even though I never got it? You read their books, you follow their instructions, you think about them. Like I say, I chant and I think, I feel like something close with Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And there's something there. I feel that he's helping me in my chanting in some way. That there's some connection there. It's nice. When Prabhupada wrote the Nectar of Devotion, he told us, he said, by reading this book, you're personally associating with Rupa Goswami. So that's the power of the transcendental vibration, that you can experience an association and also gain an attachment for these persons. One time, in the morning walk, Guru Das tells a story. He said he actually liked Bhakti Vinod Thakur's books better than Prabhupada's. So he lied to Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, Bhakti Vinod Thakur is my second favorite author. How could you tell your spiritual master someone was your favorite author other than him? Prabhupada said, your second favorite author? And Prabhupada said something like, if I could be just a particle of what Bhakti Vinod Thakur is, I would consider my life successful. So somehow he developed this attachment or attraction for hearing and reading. And of course, you know, we don't want to jump over our spiritual master. We don't want to read these other books before we've studied his books. Anyway, he expressed this to Prabhupada. So something was there. And of course, Prabhupada, in presenting us his books, he presents the commentaries of other acharyas. So we have this connection. And also, when we hear about their pastimes, their leelas, they're so inspiring. You know, I think most of you know that Bhakti Vinod Thakur, how many books did he write? 100 or so, something like that, you know? Around 100 books. He was a prolific writer. And when did he write those books? He had a full-time job. I'm trying to finish one book, and I can't finish it. I'm trying to finish it for the last year. I haven't even worked on it in the last year. I haven't found the time to work on it. He wrote about 100 books, and he was a judge, a magistrate. They call him magistrate. So his activities are very inspirational for us when we hear them. And we can become affectionately attached because of the inspiration we get. And when you get inspiration from great acharyas, you naturally become attached to them. You become indebted to them because they're helping you. So this way, you also feel some association and separation. You feel so much helped by this person, but you never met them. And I wish I could be with them. They were helping me so much. He was a grihastha, so he set the example that as grihasthas we can follow. When we see the example of renunciates, we can say, well, they're renunciates, they can do that. But you can't do that when you see the example of a grihastha. He set such a good example. Do you know that he finished all his work faster than everyone else so he could leave early and do his bhajan and preaching? Did you know that? I think it took everyone to 5 or 6 o'clock. He finished at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock at lunchtime, and then he went home.
And he was doing his judge so fast.
Judgments in court.
So that the English people sent some people to inspect him.
To see if he was doing his job properly?
Yes, and they found that actually he's doing it perfectly.
The other thing that is so wonderful about these great acharyas is that you can go to the places they lived. Because it's said that wherever they have done bhajan, they still live there. And you can go there and feel their presence. I remember many years ago, I had gone to the, I guess it was Samadhi or Bhajan Kutir of Thakur Haridas. And chanting japa at the Bhajan Kutir of Thakur Haridas is very special. So another year I brought another devotee and I said, it's very special to chant japa here. So we sat down, we chanted like 25 rounds. We had to go somewhere. And I said, it's time to go. He said, I don't want to leave. I've never chanted japa like this. So it's not only that these great acharyas come to benefit the people that were on the planet, to purify the planet, but they remain in their places of bhajan. They actually live. Prabhupada said, I eternally live at the Radha Damodar temple. In his rooms. I eternally live in my rooms at the Radha Damodar temple. And as many of you know, maybe all of you know, Prabhupada would take darshan of Rupa Goswami and get inspiration. There are stories of devotees seeing these Goswamis, or one of them, I forget which story, walk out of their samadhis, actually see them. You know those stories? There's stories. I forget now, but there's some stories like that. They actually, the Goswamis were actually there, and this devotee saw or spoke to them. So that's part of the mercy of the great acharyas. They live in their bhajan kutirs, and by Krishna's mercy, Bhakti Vinod Thakur's home and his samadhi, you can go into the rooms where he lived, and you can sit down and you can chant and read in those rooms. And I've heard also you can sleep in those rooms, you can stay there overnight. Somebody told me they stayed overnight. I don't know what the arrangement is. This is all special mercy. You like to do that? At least go there when you see me in Mayapur, we can go one morning, chant our rounds there, just grab me. We go, take a boat, cross the Jalangi and walk about a mile, and we'll be at his house. You want to go? Bhakti Vinod Thakur also started the Namhata program. And he conceived of spreading Krishna consciousness outside of India. For us it seems like, well, that's not a big deal, but in those times it was a big deal. Because Indians thought Krishna consciousness is only for Indians. So this was, he was called the pioneer. You think, well, maybe Prabhupada's the pioneer. He did it. But Bhakti Vinod Thakur was considered the pioneer of the modern day Krishna consciousness movement. Now, one of the reasons he was the pioneer is because nobody took Krishna consciousness, the intellectuals didn't take Krishna consciousness seriously. Did you know that? At his time? It was for sentimentalists or grandmothers. It wasn't an they didn't see Bhakti as an intellectual movement. So that was one of his contributions, to present Bhakti to the intellectuals, make it acceptable. So you have your set of problems in preaching in this country and obstacles. He had a huge obstacle. The whole movement was considered non-intellectual. That's a big obstacle, isn't it? So he had to deal with that. And being in India, there's so many wrong conceptions and ideas, so he had to deal with that. And so when you have an empowered acharya, they can make huge changes in society. And so he was able to do that. And then he did something very interesting, which may be difficult to understand. He did not appear in this world as a devotee. His earlier pastimes were the pastimes of someone who had no faith in Krishna consciousness, who did not follow all the practices of Krishna consciousness, did not follow all the regulative principles. Isn't that interesting? And in his Leela, his pastime, there was a conversion. He actually converted to Krishna consciousness, apparently, externally. But this is really important because he wanted to teach that ordinary people could become Krishna conscious. And if people saw him as an empowered acharya, then they would say, well, that's him, I can't do it. So he took the role of an ordinary person, showing that if you take to Krishna consciousness, you can elevate yourself. Because people don't believe that. It's one of the offenses to the holy name. You think, you hear all these glories of the holy name and how it can elevate you, and you don't believe it. You say, it won't work on me. I'm too fallen. Have you ever felt like that? Holy name is cool, but it doesn't work on me. Maybe it'll work on someone else. I'm too fallen. Sometimes there would be speculation about Srila Prabhupada's position. Who was he? Who is he? Is he a coward boy? Is he a gopi? All these things. Prabhupada would never say. You could never get that out of him. Nobody would even dare ask. Because you knew that's not the way he taught, and you knew that was not an issue. And then Prabhupada, if he ever indicated anything, he would never indicate that's his situation. One time he said, I was a doctor in my last life. And so, devotees have discussed this, not everybody believes that, and so forth, but the idea that somebody can come from a position of non-Krishna consciousness to Krishna consciousness is a very good example, and that's what Bhakti Vinod Thakur was, example he was setting. His life externally appeared to be like anyone else's life in India, and then he appeared to convert and became a Vaishnava. To show that if you take to the process, you can become pure. Otherwise, you just say, well, it's him. He's liberated soul, he can do that. Right? Oh, Mahatma, you were probably Krishna conscious in the womb of your mother. You can do it. It's easy for you. But I am in a different situation. So we're always thinking like that. But some doubt. So they perform these leelas. So, okay, I can do it, you can do it. That kind of thing. So that's what he did. He read Chaitanya Charitamrita and he became convinced. And before that he was playing the part of an intellectual who doubted everything Indian. Because that was the common belief then. Everything English is good. Everything Indian is not. Indian is inferior. So he was right there within the mentality of the people. And he preached in that way, right to the mentality. Which is very important as preachers, to understand the mentality of the people and deal with it. And that's what he did. Right? What else did he do? Who wants to tell me? That's something that inspires you that he did. Yeah, he sent the first English book to the West in 1896. The year Prabhupada was born. So he was progressive, the pioneer. He looked over from his veranda and he saw a temple called the Adbhuta Mandir. You know what Adbhuta means? Tava kara kamala varenakam Adbhuta Srinham. Bhuta means wonderful. He saw a vision of a temple rising. And then he wrote, one day, Americans, Russians, and what else? Chinese? Israelis? I don't know. Israelis were not included. You'll be surprised that you became devotees. Will be chanting and dancing together. So the Acharya can see the future. He predicted that. Someone will come, spread Krishna consciousness around the world. He saw all these things. So we understand that Krishna has sent all these great Acharyas to develop the Krishna consciousness movement. Right? And we understand we are greatly fortunate because we are in the embryo of that expansion. You say, oh, I wish I was here when Prabhupada was here. Do you realize that 30, 40, 50 years from now, people are going to say to all you youngsters, you had the association of Prabhupada disciples? Oh, you're so fortunate. I wish I had that association. This movement's going for 10,000 years. We're just in the womb right now. We are all pioneers, not just the disciples of Prabhupada, we're all pioneers. And it's nice to think like that. You can see, as it has come through Bhakti Vinod Thakur, was reviving it. That was how he was known. He revived it. It was pretty much dead. He revived it. Bhakti Siddhanta then took the mission that he learned from his father, all 64 months, and then Prabhupada took it around the world. It's just the beginning. So we're part of that history. So we're very connected with Bhakti Vinod Thakur, aren't we? We're fulfilling his mission. You know, one time, you may know this lecture, Prabhupada was speaking about book distribution, encouraging book distribution, and he would say how much his spiritual master wanted it. I was at this lecture, you probably heard this lecture. And he said, the grandfather is more merciful than the father. Have you heard that? So he said, so if you distribute books, because Bhakti Siddhanta wanted it, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, you'll get his blessings and you'll get my blessings. So he said, distribute books and be doubly blessed. That's what he said, right? As far as I remember, be doubly blessed. But also there's the blessings of Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I believe Prabhupada told Jayapataka Maharaj, if at the opening of the Mayapur temple you get the Queen of England and somebody else, then Bhakti Vinod Thakur will personally come and take you back to Godhead. Who was it? Queen of England and some... What? Queen of England, who else? Anybody remember? It's two people, right? Queen of England and somebody. Anyway, maybe one's good enough. Isn't that interesting? That Bhakti Vinod is so present within, because this is also his mission that he started. So he's so present, so aware, that he could come and take you back to Godhead for him. He told Tamakrish Maharaj or Jayapataka Maharaj? Tamakrish Maharaj. Oh yeah, right. But he left it for us. The devotee, Vishnu John Swami asked Prabhupada, what did Bhakti Vinod Thakur mean? I left this world, my work unfinished. And Prabhupada said he left it for you to finish, by his mercy. He could have finished. He's Vaishnava, he's all-powerful, he could do everything himself. He left it for us. So now we have to undergo so many austerities in spreading Krishna consciousness, right? But that's all the work he left for us, so that's mercy. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur even said that, obstacles in Krishna consciousness are my great pleasure. My honor to take these obstacles in Krishna's service. He wrote like that. You know that? That's how he saw the difficulties, were his great honor and pleasure. So if it's true that he left this for us, then every difficulty we face, we should take it as Bhakti Vinod Thakur's mercy. That he left all these for us. Because Prabhupada would often say, well, you should be in anxiety for Krishna, because otherwise you'll be in anxiety about sense gratification. This one devotee wanted to buy this huge temple. It was very expensive. And Prabhupada said, too much anxiety if we buy this temple. It's too big, too expensive. So he didn't get it. And later on, Prabhupada said, so did you get the temple? And he said, no, it will be too much anxiety. And then Prabhupada came back and said something like, oh, unless we're in anxiety for Krishna, what's the point? Like he turned it around. That we have to be in anxiety. Let's just be in anxiety for Krishna. So, Bhakti Vinod Thakur has given us all this service. He could have done it all. He could have spread Krishna consciousness himself. That's his mercy. So we take whatever struggles we have to undergo in spreading Krishna consciousness, we take it as mercy. One time, on a morning walk, a devotee told Prabhupada, he said, Prabhupada, I'm preaching to the professors. It's so difficult to preach to them. They're so proud. They're so this or that. Prabhupada said, I never said it would be easy. Or he said, whoever said it would be easy. And it's the glory of the devotee that they undergo the difficulties to spread Krishna consciousness. It makes them more glorious. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta opposed so much opposition, the caste Brahmins tried to kill him. Right? He was their greatest enemy. He was exposing them. They tried to kill him. One of his disciples, because it was so dangerous, on Parikrama, one of his disciples dressed up as him because the disciple looked like him. He said, better they kill me. They won't know who you are. Could you imagine that preaching in that atmosphere? It's pretty scary. So maybe we can take inspiration. So much opposition they had to face. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, so much opposition. Do you know that Mahatma Gandhi came to Bhakti Siddhanta? Because the most intelligent youth in India were becoming his disciples. And Mahatma Gandhi said, you're getting the best people. Give them to us. You can have them later when the war's over. He actually asked him for them. He said, don't take these people. These are the people we need. Practically every time a brahmachari would come, the parents would come to take him back. There's so many obstacles that they faced. It was never easy. The early days of the movement, the whole thing, brainwashing, cold, all over the newspapers. Then they had this Jonestown suicide, this cult, killed himself. Destroyed our book distribution for years. As soon as we'd approach somebody, get out of here, cult. You know about this, John? There was a religious group, and they lived in Guyana, which is an island in the north part of South America. And they created an ashram, sort of. That's a Christian group. And they had one leader. And he, for some reason, he thought, I don't know